Today on Two Decent Blocks.
Before I find my husband, I need to be able to meet my husband where he is, regardless of wherever I decide that should be. But I need to be able to, because if something happens to him, who else is supposed to support the household? So if I go out to make myself as versatile as possible in the job market to be able to add to him, what's the problem with that?
I think that's good. You should certainly add to your man. But you have to understand that your man doesn't need you to add to him in all ways.
So these women are good at corporate jobs, and the things that they do, they excel there. They have not been trained and they have not paid enough attention into cooking. A lot of these women cannot actually cook.
And they actually think it's cool. Say, I can't cook.
When women are asked, how much do you want to contribute to the household before it falls to shit? What do most women say? Zero. Well, if it's zero, how are you helping him out with your degree? You know, your psychology degree, where is it when you want to contribute? Zero.
What is beef with the psychology
So
degree?
when you say, oh, we're getting this degree to help you out, but then you don't want to help out, well, now I see a contradiction.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Today on the Decent Blocks.
Across a clip where Kevin Samuels was talking about, or it was a very short clip, so if I take it out of context, I apologize. But he was basically telling a woman that her degree didn't matter. He was telling her that the accomplishments that basically she got, or that she wanted to pursue, she should forego that and focus on the marriage, the husband, and the children. And I thought that was a little unfair because before I find my husband, I need to be able to meet my husband where he is, regardless of wherever I decide that should be. But I need to be able to, because if something happens to him, who else is supposed to support the household? So if I go out to make myself as versatile as possible in the job market to be able to add to him, what's the problem with that? And also still pursue finding love or, finding a husband.
The problem is that last part that you said, you said you want to add to him, right? And I think that's good. You should certainly add to your man, but you have to understand that your man doesn't need you to add to him in all ways. Your man needs you to add to him in certain ways. You getting a psychology degree is not a way that a man needs you to add to him. You getting a master's in early childhood development is not an addition to him, right? And to be honest, maybe you even getting a law degree isn't an addition to him, because whatever you make, you're going to generally want him to make more than you anyways. Yep. So you want your income to be supplemental, but to a very small degree. And that's what Kevin Samuels has been able to get out, elicit from so many women. When women are asked, how much do you want to contribute to the household before it falls to shit? What do most women say? Zero. Well, if it's zero, how are you helping him out with your degree? You know, your psychology degree, where is it when you want to contribute? Zero.
What is beef with the psychology
So
degree?
when you say, oh, we're getting this degree to help you out, but then you don't want to help out, well, now I see a contradiction. Do you see where I'm coming from?
I understand that, but that's where I feel like we're painting all women with one stroke of a brush. I don't want to contribute zero to my household. I don't want to be the breadwinner either. But I do want to make myself as diverse as I need to be to fit my husband's needs. And if I do have to go out and make money, why not do it in a way that makes me happy? Not just any way I can, because I did not prepare myself to have to go out into the workforce because I left that on my husband.
She has said nothing in a lot of words, but I kind of understand which is a contradiction. She's trying to say, I want to be diverse enough. I want to not just be one thing. And I want to be able to contribute in, I guess, financially to the household. But I guess the background to this, he kind of already gave the lead attorney on what usually is the problem. Men don't seem to have a problem with women making money, but we understand the nature of women, that they don't want to provide for a man. They would rather be provided for, at least the majority of them.
Yeah.
So you being able to make that money is a good thing for the family, and especially for you, but your nature is going to start counting that against the guy, even unconsciously. And at the same time, the guy also, his nature is, if someone is providing and I'm not, then I'm losing value. So both of your natures are at least saying you shouldn't be making more money than the guy, or at least you shouldn't be really taking care of the family.
Yeah.
So what do we do with that situation? Because that's pretty complicated.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you see, here's the question that I have. Why is the only way that she thinks she can contribute to her husband? Why is that way financial?
Financially. Okay.
Why does she think that it's through education that she needs to contribute? That's when you see that I don't think she really means that she wants to help out, but it's more like I want a fallback plan, or I want to kind of compete with you. Now, almost every man I know needs help, needs help. But the things they need help in, women don't want to touch those things. So she's saying, why is it wrong that I get some education, a PhD or a master's degree, so that I can help my husband? No, she never says, why is it wrong that I take cooking classes,
Yeah.
that I take courses on how to be a good homemaker, about how to do, household chores and all those things. Those things that are valuable, that men, almost every man that I know, would want a woman who does that. They don't want to lean on those things, but they want to lean on the things that are considered traditional male roles.
You
And
asked why.
yeah, so the question really is, why do you think that the only way you can contribute to your household is financial?
It's because that's the only way they have been trained to contribute. So all their lives, these women have been taught to be independent, and their upbringing has prepared them to have degrees and ways to take care of themselves financially. And there's this principle I usually, sometimes I remember, like reading back in before, which talked about what you give yourself to, you become an expert in. You become, good at the things that you practice. The 10,000 hour rule is basically predicated on that you become good at something if you put 10,000 hours in it, which means your commitments show what you value and what you're ultimately going to be good at. So these
Exactly.
women are good at corporate jobs, and the things that they do, they excel there. They have not been trained, and they have not paid enough attention into cooking. A lot of these women cannot actually cook.
And they actually think it's cool. Say, I can't cook. Okay, here's what I'll say.
Exactly.
I think the problem is that modern women in general are taught, almost conditioned, to hate the things that make them unique and valuable to men. While
Feminine
men,
things.
yes, while men, on the other hand, are taught and conditioned to be things that women value. What do I mean by this? I'll give you an example. Most women, if not all women, value stability. That is financial stability in general, and security, right? Most women would want a guy who can provide, a man who is financially stable and has resources to make her feel safe.
How do
Even
we
when
know
you,
that? They shame a guy that is
yeah,
staying with his parents because
yes,
he's not independent.
yes.
Because he's independent, he becomes attractive.
Yes. And even when you talk about physical aspects, right? Physically speaking, men are taught that women like strong, muscular men who are tall, handsome, chiseled jaw lines, broad shoulders,
Yeah, kind of like
someone
mine.
who is physically imposing. So, in that context, all men strive to be those things in order to get a mate, in order to get into a relationship. So there are very few, if zero, delusions amongst men about what women like.
And expect from them.
Yes, and expect.
We
And there
know
is,
how to treat a woman. We don't know how to treat a man.
yes, so there is no controversy or debate about the things that women want in men. However, this is the important part.
Mhm.
When it comes to women, most of them have no idea what men like, evidenced by what she is saying.
Mhm.
Like I mentioned earlier, they are conditioned to hate being the things that men actually like,
Mhm.
right? But yet they keep the same level of expectations when it comes to their potential of having a mate or a good relationship. I'll
Mhm.
give an example. Men like women who are feminine, like you said, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That means women who wear dresses,
Mhm.
who dress cute, who paint their nails,
Women who
with
like
long
children.
hair, yeah, and women who like children and taking care of children, who
Mhm.
have a reserved demeanor, who are not loud, but
Mhm.
we have a quiet spirit, right? But what do you hear women say nowadays? I don't dress for men. I dress for myself. I'm not doing this for men. And so,
I
so
don't cook. I don't clean.
yes. So
I don't.
another example, just to round this off, men like a woman who is nurturing, like you said, who can take care of kids, right?
Yep.
That is a woman who takes care of him. Like men like a woman who can take care of him, just like his mother used to. I know what I said right there. I know I may be triggering you ladies, right? But remember this: women also like men who can provide, just like their
Like their father.
fathers
Yes.
used to.
Yep.
So settle down, ladies.
Yeah. We
Settle
can
down.
run. We can run away from that.
Men like women who will clean after them, who will feed them, and let them enjoy their hobbies without being guilt tripped. But what you get from women now is, I'm not going to cook for you. I'm not your maid. I'm not going to clean after you. I'm not your mom. So
And
what is happening here is modern women now hate the very thing that makes them desirable and valuable to men. And they now value the things that make them more masculine and less feminine. This is the real evil of feminism in general. It is creating substandard men out of women instead of creating better women.
it's it's you're on point on all that, and that is what you hear when you hear someone say, I when they're asked, what do you bring to the table, and the first thing they're going to say is, I'm independent and I have a degree.
Mhm.
Your independence is not attractive to a man. A man loves to feel
Take.
valued because they are taking care of people around them.
Mhm.
That's why we basically let the kids and the women jump on the lifeboats on the Titanic, the movie. If you haven't seen it, it wasn't a debate. That's
Yeah.
what men do.
Women
That
and children first. They like
exactly.
taking care of people.
That's what makes men happy. We go to fight in wars, and we've in drafts. We could easily have said women should be drafted in, at least in America. Um, you know, uh,
No country drafts women.
but we don't, because that's what gives us joy and pleasure to say that our women and children are taken care of. So when you say you are independent, you are fighting against what we like. It's like going against what females like in a relationship. To say a woman loves to feel like she's loved by either words that are said to her or flowers that are bought for her,
Mm.
that's inherent. You shouldn't take that away from women, because that comes naturally. The other thing then is, when you say you have a degree, we've obviously talked about how it does not bring value to the guy. When you make more money, you're probably going to overlook that guy by that degree. Most of the degrees that women get are also not valuable anyway, because most of them are in social sciences, where you're going to learn a lot of feminist type of doctrines that will just make you very insufferable. Then the other thing is, you're coming with student debt that you cannot even pay off with your salary from that same degree. So when
You're
most
talking in
people
an American context, at least.
exactly, yes. Where when most people talk about these degrees, they just they just say it like it's, they say it from yes, I am educated. Yes, that does make you a lot more different from a person that's never been to school, provided what you learned is obviously helpful. But that's the problem. And then it's the same as, if I'm going to say to us as men, we don't care about your degree and we also don't care about your money because we know you don't want to spend it on us, at least in the
Yeah.
long term.
And
The
if
money,
you're
Mhm.
sorry, go on.
to say the money that you get, most women, you hear them, I don't want to take care of a man. The
Yeah.
term homosexuals comes from women despising taking care of a guy that is in between jobs or not
Yeah.
able to provide for themselves.
Exactly.
So it's the same as me coming and saying, I have a skill. My skill is I play my Xbox so well. I'm number one in the world at this particular game.
Fantasy
Will
football.
you go out with me? You're going to look at me and say, that is a very good skill, but it does not add to me.
Mhm.
It would not even be a conversation. But I guess because this is obviously not the same as actual playing a game to most women, it it being something they value themselves in men, they don't see how it looks to men that way. That we just don't value education like that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get a little bit more practical here.
Mhm.
Right. If I would have a daughter, right now I
Mhm.
don't have kids, but if I would have a daughter,
Are you sure?
how would I communicate? You can never be sure out here, man. No, I'm kidding. I definitely am sure. If I had a kid, I would know about it.
You had me
I'm sure.
worried for a minute.
So, what would I tell my daughter about this? First of all, right, half of marriages, at least in the West, they fail. So you want to prepare your kids for the eventuality and the real possibility that a marriage can fail. So you don't want your daughter to have skills that she can use in the context of a marriage only. And when she's out of that context, for whatever reason, things happen, right?
Mhm.
And not be able to support herself to some extent.
Mhm.
Why I'm saying this is we are not necessarily saying that women should not get educated, should only focus on being homemakers. No, that's not exactly. There are trade-offs to these things. So you can develop your own skills that are marketable in the economy for you to be able to support yourself to some extent, right? But if your goal, if what you want to do in life is to have a successful relationship or a marriage, then that has to take or consume much of your time and your effort compared to developing those skills.
Okay.
Part of what the leader Tony was saying is you cannot go off to university for 8 years to get a PhD, right? And have nothing else to show off as far as building social skills to have a good relationship and expect to actually sustain an actual relationship because you haven't invested any time into that. So you can get educated however you want. You can develop marketable skills, but they have to be compatible with your other goals of, okay, I want to be married, I want to be in a healthy relationship. So you can develop your skills. Yes, you can. That is also different from thinking that your skills make you valuable to a man. Your skills, your job skills are not going to make you valuable to a man, but the other things that you are saying are going to make you valuable to a man. So you need both, but you have to decide now. For me to develop both those things, how much time do I devote to each of those?
Yeah, I think that's probably a time commitment has to obviously show what you are trying to be at the end of the day, what the objective is. You can't say you want to be a wife and obviously pay 10% of that time into actually training to being a wife. And that's something that I know Kevin Summers was asking some lady before when he was saying, what is what you're doing right now preparing you for the man that you want to be with? And that question also is almost always met with just silence and crickets, because it's difficult to justify how being in relationships usually that are not really serious or intentional, that most people get into either in college and after college, especially in our community, adds to the actual person that is going to walk into in actual marriage. Say you're walking in not with a clean slate. You already have a lot of baggage and mistrust of men because of the interactions you've had, which is another thing that most people actually get out of this whole college experience anyway. Have deep mistrust of guys from the way they handled that. But I guess we can't blame that on a degree or anything. It's just basically how our society is now anyway. But yeah, so I mean, that's probably gone long enough. But do you have any final thoughts?
No, I have a lot more to say about this topic, but we'll catch you in the next video.
All right, so guys, what do you think? Do you think that degrees are actually, valuable to guys, or we are just making a meal out of nothing? Let us know in the comment section. Subscribe and comment and like and engage. Just to grow the channel. The game is to basically grow the channel. We haven't really decided how many subs we want to end up with at the end of the year, but it'll be very good to get those, notification bells, clicked and everything. Until next time, the 2 decent blogs are out. Thank you.